Thank you, Jasmine, and call me Eric. I'm very happy to be here, ladies and gentlemen, friends, guests. While we are having a lot of discussions today, don't forget one thing. Our forum today is actually called festival, so it's a time actually for us also to celebrate. What do we celebrate? We want to celebrate success. It's a very good time to be here since the SFC actually launched its Aspire roadmap last year in around February time, so about slightly over 1 year ago. And here, we should celebrate how much we have progressed since then. Very glad to share with you that last year, when I was in Basel attending a Financial Stability Board forum, they mentioned about, in a peer review, they actually have Hong Kong ranked among the most highest in terms of a regulatory regime, comprehensive, complete regulatory regime for digital asset. This is something that I need to thank a lot of people. First and foremost, government leadership. Thank you for the government for pushing this forward. Thank you, Joseph. And also, thank you for market wisdom. A lot of you here has talked to us. I'm sorry to sometimes have you to go through the pain of going through a regulator, but I can guarantee you sometimes the pain is mutual, but also we have a saying that no pain, no gain. And last but not least is also my teammates. That include my colleagues from the SFC and also LegCo members. I guarantee you, especially Duncan, since you're here in front of me, you have a lot more work this year than last year. Now, so when actually we come back to this celebrative event, it's also a good time to reflect and also to plan ahead. So usually when I come on stage, the audience is thinking of us announcing some new exciting initiatives, which we do have one. But instead of doing that, I actually want to look back as to where we are. So my speech today is on Aspire in Action, Advancing Hong Kong Digital as a Journey. So journey is actually the keyword here. So this is the Aspire roadmap I'm sure a lot of you have seen. Two messages I want you to bring home today. Very simple messages. One, be focused. We have achieved a lot, which I would say a few words about that, but at the same time, we need to continue to focus because there's so much work ahead of us. Second, we can be a little bit more aspirational. Now that we have a stronghold locally, we should also expand our influence, my exposure internationally, globally. Almost every international regulatory conference I attended, Hong Kong has been in the spotlight just because we have so much, we have achieved so much, and we are having a lot of thoughts in the policy work and implementation. This is very, very important, is that we are a jurisdiction, we are a regulator that implement, not just talk, not just announcement, but execute. A bit of a review of the last, it seems like a long time we introduced this roadmap. We have achieved so much. I just gonna have time to put in very briefly 6 milestones that we've been through. 2 months after we announced the roadmap, we actually allowed staking for our platforms and also for our authorized funds. This is actually first of its kind at that time. Now, 2 more months after that, which is on, I believe, is June 28th, 2025, together with the government, with a lot of support from the Financial Services and Treasury Bureau, we actually launched a joint consultation on the virtual asset dealing and custody regime. That was first half last year. And then we actually concluded the consultation on Christmas Eve, 6 months later, with a lot of support and good comments from the public. And then we are progressing. So a bit more work on this, a bit more word on this later. But this is a big achievement. And then somehow in the fourth quarter last year, we allow a bit more service and products for our virtual asset platform. At the same time, we put forward the idea of integration of global liquidity through share order book. And then, also fourth quarter last year, we have this interesting initiative launch, which is called Cryptech, which is using technology to enhance the defense of the Hong Kong digital asset market. And this actually was featured in section 104 in the policy address, which said the SFC is using automated reporting method to create a line of defense for the Hong Kong digital asset market. And then just 2 months ago in February, during another international event, we allow for interesting initiatives in the sense of offering a framework for perpetual contracts, and also allow for margin financing, etc. And also allow for platforms, now we have many of them, to use their affiliated market makers to provide liquidity to Hong Kong investors. So this is a nutshell as to what we have achieved. There's a lot actually within 1 year. And then this is something that I always emphasize. There's a saying in Chinese that's 欲出则不达. In Hong Kong, we never pride ourselves as the fastest and the most adventurous regime launch, but we are steadfast. We move forward step by step. So that's why sometimes we move faster because we are steadfast, not because we are reckless. And that's also the last milestone, which is a work in progress. We also announced an innovative program to integrate communication between the regulator and the market practitioners. We actually launched the virtual asset accelerator tendering, which receives so many interests from the market that we are looking into it right now. Now, that's kind of the past. So I have half of my time left, which is suited for talking about what's going to be our plan for the next 12 months or so. Again, I'm not trying to impress with the audience that we have done a lot. In fact, quite on the contrary. A lot of the works that I think I mentioned just a moment ago require a lot more forward follow-up work that basically have our work planned out for the next 12 months. So this is something that I want to appeal to a lot of the market practitioners, which for the VATPs or the Web3 community often talk to the SFC from time to time. I always ask them to do one thing. Separate your short-term objectives and the long-term objectives. And then forget about the long-term objectives first. Look at then your first-term objectives and then highlight the immediate works that need to be done. That's actually why we want to make sure that we focus not just the regulatory resource, but the whole market resources into achieving short-term results that actually pave way for medium and long-term objectives. And here are the very short-term tasks from a regulatory perspective that we are planning ahead for the next 12 months. So I group it into 3 clusters instead of just mentioning the 12 initiative. The first cluster, I would say, is innovate through regulation. As I mentioned just a moment ago, we have concluded our virtual asset dealing and custody regime on the 24th of December. But instead of stopping there, we actually buy 2, get 2 free. So we are having another consultation right now that's on also offering, that's based on market feedback, on the virtual asset management and the virtual asset advisory regime. So you get 4 regimes in one go, and I just received the draft bill last week. And the electrical members, I think you would probably be interested in listening to that in the sense that there are 260 pages of that. So if you want to have a build committee, I understand the process is that you have to go through that one by one. Probably we'll spend a few days together to go through that. And I guarantee you at the SFC, me and my team do actually go through them one by one. So this 260 pages of draft bill, and that's also tremendous work from the Bureau and also from the Department of Justice and the SFC together to make this happen in such a short period of time. So let's work hard on that. And this is only the beginning, because another bit of work, this is only the legislation of the enabling ordinance. We also need regulatory guidance, regulatory framework, rules, detail that actually market participants can use to implement that. So we need to also do consultation on that. That's also a huge chunk of work that that's why I have been talking to a lot of you to make sure that we get it right, and also we listen to market, and at the same time we communicate our regulatory perspective. Now, that's also put in another orange rectangle here on enabling a dynamic approach to custody technologies and also insurance compensation arrangement. I know there's virtual asset insurers here, and then that's also something we have been very stringent on that. We also need to think ahead as to how we embrace technology, embrace a more pragmatic compensation approach, but at the same time not giving up safety protection for the investors. Now, the second cluster of work is actually on product. This is actually what I call innovation through practice. A few things that actually a good example to show that is that we actually issue in 223 tokenized securities framework, high level. But then when we actually talk to the market, each product has its own characteristics when you put in Web3, and sometimes you have innovative features that require a lot more thinking. For example, there's one initiative we're going to announce today, this afternoon, is that we are going to allow virtual assets trading platform to trade, not just offer, trade tokenized authorized funds. This is actually, as far as we know, first of its kind framework globally to allow a very predictable framework for trading of tokenized authorized funds on a regulated platform. So we will start with experiment that, again, taking it slowly, steadfast, money market funds. But then it can, if the experience is good, we expand it to all authorized funds, one step at a time. So this is something that we're going to announce today. But that actually requires months of discussion between us and the platforms and the fund managers. Now, the other two things that I mentioned already, we have been talking so much with the markets on the ideas on margin financing. We have to talk about how perp contracts are being structured, how does that feature in our regulatory framework. That's actually not a small thing. We have a lot of dialogues on that front. Now, and also, on the margin financing, we still need to think about capital adequacy. That's another consultation we do plan. Otherwise, there is no universal practice for offering how capital relief for collaterals that are virtual assets. Last bit is innovation through interactions. That include what I mentioned about the CrypTech initiative, where we actually work with licensed participants in automation of reporting and also thinking about how to collectively manage AML risk, custody risk, market conduct risk on an automated platform. At the same time, we have been getting interest of signing bilateral MOUs with a lot of international jurisdictions, because now we do have common regulators to regulate with, to avoid regulatory arbitrage, but also alignment of international practice. And then last but not least, the blue rectangle, the framework for Finfluencer. I mean, Finfluencer is not just for Web3, but it actually does carry a long way in the Web3 ecosystem. That's something that we have been talking to the market. Again, we're going to use a pragmatic approach to understand how the market works and how, as a regulator, can work together with licensed cops and also investor to combat against financial crime. Now we'll just stop here. And this is a full page of work. And then 1 year later here, we will see how far we go. And I'm sure we will make progress, but this is not it. Let's just focus on what we have on the table and get it executed. So again, back to my speech title, it's Journey. So I encourage all of you to pack your luggage, set sail, and really enjoy the scenery when we go through it together. There will be ups and downs, but I think for the last year, we have also built a lot of trust and empathy between the regulator and the market, and then the balance of us understanding market development, but at the same time, market practitioners, especially the Web3 entrepreneurs and operators, understand regulator perspective. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Thank you.